Hit record. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode. I'm your host, Stephen G. Gaxiola, and you are listening to the Raider and the Saint podcast.
Everybody here is up to it. I'm gonna give you one last chance to walk out that door right now. That's good, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Because in this silver slice I have it here are 1,984 ounces of beer. Golden, delicious beer. And no one leaves here until we finish every single last one.
And we are back, folks. Once again, I want to thank all my listeners from around the world that tune in every week to the Raiders 8 podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today's date is February 22nd. It is a Wednesday. The year is 2023. It is super windy. We are getting a podcast in as soon as we can. It's going to be raining. I didn't want to take the podcast into the house. I like the ambiance out here, so it might be a little windy. If you guys hear the wind, I apologize, but we want to get this in before it rains this weekend. This is episode 146. We are 4 out from hitting that episode 150, which I'm excited for. Going to be something special for you guys, for my listeners. I'm going to do something very special. But before we get to that, I'm going to bring him right in. My guest today is Jake Bowman. He is night 1 for Medieval Times. They are currently on strike, and he is one of the main organizers for unionizing workers for Medieval Times. I was just there on Sunday. I was out there picketing out on Beach Boulevard. Got a lot of support, a lot of honks, a lot of people coming up, handing us food from Portos. It was a cool time. Got to meet a lot of good people, and I was there to help, and I'm also here to help more by having you coming on the show and talking a little bit about, or a lot about, what's going on. Jake Bowman, it was honor to have you here. It's an honor to meet you.
Yeah,
and tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Let's go back a little bit before we get into the meat and potatoes.
Okay. Yeah, sure, man. Well, first off, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it, and I know that we really appreciate you being out there with us on Sunday. That was really cool to have other people out there to be supporting us and stuff. We've gotten a lot of support recently, so I'm very, very, very happy and excited that everybody's getting involved, and very thankful to everybody that comes out to help us out. A little bit about me. Look, my story, I think my story is boring. The guys that I work with think that it's way more entertaining than it actually is. But, the thing is that I was born, I'm 33, so I'm one of the older knights that we have at the castle in Buena Park Ca in Medieval Times. Most of the guys that we work with are in their early 20s, and this is my second run working at Medieval Times. I worked at Medieval Times in my early 20s, in 2013, 2014, and then I got hurt really bad there. I got kicked in the back by a horse.
Holy shit.
It actually fractured my L1 lumbar, so I technically broke my back while I was there. And then after that, I left, and I've done a vast majority or not majority, but a vast array of different jobs. I've had tech jobs, I've had sales jobs, I've had customer service. I was an actor for a bit in Dallas. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, so I was making the run in the entertainment industry, trying to make money doing that. It's the craft and entertainment is something that I'm always very passionate about and something that I wanted to pursue. That is actually what brought me to California originally, was that I was picking up some steam doing acting, not making enough to live off, right? So I had a bunch of different jobs. I worked in, like I said, tech and sales and all that kind of stuff, and then did, of course, the classic of like waiting tables and whatnot. But I was like, you know what? Hey, I think my girlfriend and I are really life partner. Honestly, we're hopefully gonna get married soon. But she was like, hey, well, do you want to try to make it in the big leagues. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, if we can find a way to get out there without it totally breaking the bank and us having to live on the side of the road, then I'm down, you know, let's go. And she found a job, and it moved us out here. And I started trying to act again. And I was, what I realized was, let's say that the art, you know, the actual craft of acting or being in entertainment is like, you know, maybe 10 to 20% of what you actually do, and then the rest of the 80% is schmoozing or networking or something like that. I'm not good at that, right? You know, I'm good at talking to people, but that's not what it is anymore. It's, you know, going into an audition and then seeing, you know, how many TikTok followers you have, how many Facebook followers you have, how big is your Instagram, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not good at
So they don't want
that
to do.
aspect, yeah.
So they don't want to do the promoting anymore. They want you ready to be promoted.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it you know, and it makes sense for their standpoint. You know, I did a lot of commercial acting, right? And so commercial acting is all about engagement, you know, and it's eyes on your product. And so if you can bring somebody in that has a tens of thousands of followers on, you know, social platform A or social platform B, then that's doing a large majority of the legwork for the company, right? Because you know that you're going to get engagement on that kind of stuff. And I didn't like it, you know. I didn't like that aspect of it. I loved the craft. I loved doing it. I loved being on set, but I didn't like that aspect of it. And so I kind of hung my hat up as it was, and, you know, decided that if I was going to do something in entertainment, then I would have to wait and, you know, pursue my own projects later on in life when I was more settled down and ready to do that. And so, you know, I got back into working in tech and just kind of grinding that 9 to 5 out. But you know, for me, I was sitting in my computer desk one day, working from home, you know, doing like some call center work, and I was just miserable, you know. And I was driving by, you know, that week I think I'd driven by like the castle in Buena Park, Medieval Times, and I was like, oh, they're hiring again, you know. This was post-COVID, so it wasn't that long ago. And I was like, well, this is an opportunity for me to kind of go back and accomplish some of the things that I didn't get to accomplish before, because I got hurt so bad and ended up making me leave. And so I applied, and I got really lucky that they were so short-staffed that they needed a 30-something-year-old former knight with a back injury that they hired me and brought me in.
So the first time, so let's go back. The first time, how long were you a knight for the first time?
So okay, so let me clarify. I didn't actually make it to knighthood the first time around. So
Okay.
I squired, and I was doing like the apprentice knight training, and I was very close to going in to doing my first performance, or to going in to learn the choreography and doing a performance and becoming a knight. And I got hurt like that week, the week that I was supposed to sort of like.
And how long were you there for before you got hurt?
About a year, just over a year. And then I've been at this location now for just about over a year now as well. So I would say that, like, I guess my total time at the company is you know, 2.5 years, but there was a huge gap in between that, right?
Yeah.
So
how is the training? Is the training really intense? I mean, who's in charge of training? Are they people from Hollywood, stunt doubles, or stunt people coming in? Or is it kind of just like watch the night movies and shit, and then they come in and just repeat the moves?
I mean, basically, it's one of those things where it's like anybody off the street can do it, right? I mean, if you're somewhat physically capable, have a good head on your shoulders, and you know, even mildly coordinated, then we can teach you.
How sharp are those swords?
They're not sharp. I mean, they're real swords, right?
Yeah,
they're just not sharpened. So they've got a blunt blade on them. And so they do get dangerous, obviously, as we hit each other really hard with them. They sort of chip and stuff like that. So then you get swords breaking or shards kind of like chipping off, and like, you know, they'll fly back.
You guys have a choreographer, or how does it work then for like scenes and like
there's like a corporate head knight, right?
Okay.
Like a dude that kind of runs like choreography for the entire company, and he'll design new fights and put the new show in or whatever the situation is. And then it's up to the individual head knight at the castles, head knight being basically just the manager of the knights department, that he'll train up new guys on riding and fighting and stuff like that. And it generally takes, you know, 6 to 8 months to kind of get your feet on the ground or whatnot. But obviously, you know, for me, it was a special case because I had some experience already. And then post-COVID, the castle just didn't have anybody. So I was not rushed in, I should say. I was taught and got through like, I guess we would call like a night boot camp, or it was like most guys wouldn't get that much attention early on, right? Because there's a lot of other things to do, but we just needed guys. So like they flew in other knights from other castles, and I just went through this like really intense training session for like 3 months, you know?
How often
then
were
I
you
got
training? How many hours? I mean, what was it looking like?
Oh, I mean, in those, early on, we were
Yeah.
training. We wouldn't even do the show. We would squire with the show. We would come in the morning, and the entire 8-hour shift that we'd be there would be training. It'd be horse riding and fighting and combat and stuff, and we did that for 3 months straight.
I mean, you got paid for that and everything.
Oh yeah, of course,
Oh,
of
nice.
course. Yeah, I mean, we work 40 hours a week. You know,
Mhm.
we work the standard 540. You know, it is.
Did you know how to ride a horse when you first came in, or they had to teach you that too?
No, I mean, I had some experience from the last time I was in, medieval times, but it'd been a long time since I've been on a horse, and so, I had to relearn a lot of things. And then it's learning the specific horse too, right? Because we build connections with the horses that we work with, and they're all different. They have a lot
How
of
many
different
horses
personalities.
right now are in Buena Park?
We've got, I think we have like 25 horses or something like that.
Wow,
or
that's a
something
lot
like
of-
that. Yeah.
That's a lot to feed.
Yeah, but the thing is that we don't use all of them, right? So like if you've been to the show and you've seen it, there is a few segments of the show that are specifically designed to show off high level horsemanship, right? Dressage riding and things like that. And those horses are like the big white ones. If you've ever come to the show, the big white horses, and those are the horses that Medieval Times breeds themselves. There's a ranch out in Dallas that they breed those horses, and they send them out and they train them specifically for this like horsemanship part. The knights are involved in that, but very like minimally, right? We really don't help with that sort of training. We don't interact with those horses very much. We help in certain parts of the show, but we have our own excuse me, we have our own horses. And for them, it's, I think we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, we got like 8 maybe horses or 10 horses or something like that that we take care of, and we cycle through the show and we ride a lot. And those are like our horses, right? So whenever I speak about like our horses, it's just that small section of horses that we interact with on a daily basis. We take care of, we help make sure that they're medically, fit and all that kind of stuff, and that we're riding every single day. So, those are our guys, and those are the ones that we haven't been on for almost 2 weeks now because of the strike. So,
Yeah, I was born and raised in Buena Park. Went to Buena Park Junior High, Buena Park High School. I went to Fullerton JC and Cal State Fullerton. So I was born and raised in Buena Park / Fullerton. And I remember Medieval Times has been around for a long time. I remember when I was in summer school. I went to Whitaker School in Buena Park, which is right up the street from here. And summer school, I went to summer school. You can choose. Back then it was fun, right? Summer school was fun. It was getting out of the house and stuff. And I went to Pendleton School off of Stanton and Orange Thorpe. That's for people that are familiar with the city of Buena Park. And I remember we walked to Medieval Times. Back in the days, they would let you have the teachers and the kids, and we walked. Or did we take the bus? I don't know. I think we walked to Medieval Times, and we sat there, and the Knights came out. They had a little mini show.
Oh, yeah.
We ate. It wasn't nothing like a full-blown show, but it was a good enough. This was in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and also I've been there, even since then, I've been there for birthday parties. Went there for my brother, both my brothers, my brother-in-law and my brother. We've gone there for their birthday. So I've been there a few times. I actually have my kids. I think all my kids has been there. I gotta ask them. But I'm familiar with Medieval Times, and I'm just curious of how things work.
I went as a kid too. I mean, I've got pictures of me and my sister when we were very little.
Well, how many locations are there?
10. So 9 in the United States and 1 in Canada.
Okay.
And then they're kind of spread out all over the place.
Well, going back to your injury, the first time you went there, the horse kicked you in the back.
Yeah. So, I mean, I applied originally to be a bartender, right? Because I was like, I was starting dipping my toe into entertainment, acting and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, this is a performance job. It'll help. Like I can go, yell at people and be like, good nobles. Like, what sort of ale would you like? Or whatever the situation is, And they called me back and they're like, dude, we have too many dudes. Like, we need more, female bartenders. Like, do you want to go squire in the show? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, let's do it, Got trained up, and then like I said, that particular day, it was just an accident. I wouldn't say it was anybody's fault. The horse was having trouble. We were trying to identify what was wrong with the horse, and generally, like some of the ways that we would do that is somebody would kind of get on him and ride him around, and how is he feeling? How does he feel? How does he look? How is he moving? That kind of stuff, and he was not happy with anybody being on his back, right? When that was pretty clear from the get-go. And so as they were sort of trying to figure out what was going on, he was trying to buck his rider off. And that just, they were warming him up or trying to figure out what was going on, and he was bucking constantly, and he just got pushed too close to where I was standing, and I was turned around trying to help somebody else out, and so when he went to buck, he just threw both his legs out, and yeah, it just tagged me in the lower back. So
How old were you?
I don't know, 24 maybe.
How, dude? What happened? Would you just lay your dude? I have 2 herniated discs in my back.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
When my back gives out, it's fucking sucks.
Oh,
dude.
so at first, and I'm sure anybody that's had a major injury is aware that there was no pain at first, right? Like, it knocked the wind out of me. It was the worst, losing you're getting the wind knocked out of you that you've ever felt. And it was like one of those things where, like, my perception of time sort of slowed down a little bit, and I had this clear thought that was like, hey, like, I'm really hurt, I can't breathe, I need to breathe, and when I take a breath, all of the pain, I know that the pain's gonna come, right? So it's sort of like all of that happened in an instant, and then you just sort of suck in this like really big, like, deep breath, and then the pain just hit like immediately. And it was one of those things where I was like, I was hurt, I was upset that this situation happened in the first place, and then I was sad too because I was so close to going into the show, right? I was so close to doing my first performance and all that kind of stuff, and that just knocked me out and put me back by months and months and months of training and all that kind of stuff. And so by the time I came back, that was what was really like, I was like, I can't do this again, I need a break, and that was what pushed me out. But that was also what I left behind.
So
right?
how long did it take you to heal?
Not that long. I mean, it was a crack. It was a hairline fracture on the L1 lumbar. So there's nothing that could be done about it. There was nothing that needed to be set in place. There was no brace or anything like that. I was just basically couldn't walk for like a few months.
Holy shit.
So after like a few months.
So you're bedridden?
Yeah. I mean, I think I could get up and walk around like after like the first few weeks, but I would get these like pains where like if I stepped wrong, it would shoot pain up my back, right? And then, even after I think I was fully healed, I think my body was so scared of the pain that like I had these like phantom pains, right? Where it was like I thought it was going to hurt even though it didn't actually hurt, so then it would cause like a lot of issues or something like that. So it was hard to like get back on horse and all that kind of stuff originally, and that's why that sort of, I didn't want to like go through the sort of rehabilitation process while I was working.
So where's the L1? What is that, middle of the back?
It's right at the very bottom. It's like it's like the base of your spine.
Tailbone.
It's like the base of your spine. It's one of the strongest bones in your body. So it's amazing that it cracked at all, actually.
Wow. Did they put you on any
tough.
pain meds or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I got the full run of like hydrocodone and stuff like that, and then obviously when I was at the hospital, they took like urine tests and all that kind of stuff to make sure I wasn't like internally bleeding. That I was on like
how was it getting off the pills?
Kind of stuff. Oh, that's fine. I don't have like an addictive personality, and I don't like generally to be
sedated.
Yeah, so I like once I was fine, I just stopped taking them. I didn't really care.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
good for you.
Not too much.
I started this podcast because I got addicted to OxyContin. I have a bad back.
Okay.
I have 2 herniated discs, and I finally got off. I got off of the pills, and then I needed help, so I got on Suboxone. I went through the whole shebang. It was tough, but once I got through it, I wanted to start my podcast to help people and aware people and to encourage people. So that's why I asked, how was it with the pain and getting off? But everyone's different. Everyone's computed different.
Yeah.
So that's good that you still have back pains or just
no.
I'm good.
I'm good. I don't think I mean my lower back. I don't know that it's ever as strong. I mean, I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm in pretty decent shape. But I had a period for a while where like I wasn't quite as strong in my lower back as I was before. But I mean, your story is much more common, I think, than even mine, which is, I mean, we can go on a hours-long podcast about the pharmaceutical industry and the people, pushing pills and people getting addicted and all that kind of stuff. It's as you know from experience, it's extremely
It's a deadly
rough.
cycle. Once you're in there, it's hard to get out.
Yeah, I'm just extremely fortunate that like I've just never been that way about that kind of stuff, and I never, like you said, I'm just programmed a little bit differently, so I didn't really have any problem with it. I mean, we were talking before we even started that I don't really even drink. And that's just by choice. I've never had a problem with it or anything like that. I drink every now and then. But
I ask people, I said, you want water, soda, whatever, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Some people, they'll, I'm cool. And then right when we're about to start, they're like, yeah, I'll take that beer now.
Yeah, right,
they say,
right.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's, no judgment here, But, yeah, that's cool,
Yeah, it's. I mean, like I said, it's funny. I bartended for a while. And I don't drink. Mm-hmm. So people are like, how did that work out? And I was like, well, I like the process of making the drink. Like, I think there's an art to it, right? And so putting the ingredients together and coming up with a different flavor and all that kind of stuff, that's a really, really cool, like mixology is a cool process. And I really, really, really enjoy that. But I mean, I couldn't tell you if it's supposed to taste like what it's supposed to taste like. You're supposed to tell me that, right? So like, I can make you a drink all day long. I can try different combinations and things that I think would work. But at the end of the day, I'm passing it to you, and you're telling me if it's good or not. And that's kind of how I operated.
Oh, okay.
So
you got hurt the first time, and then you didn't go back.
No, not for a while.
Before we get to the second part, how was the benefits? How did the company take care of you? I mean, how did you go on workers' comp?
Yeah.
Well, how was the process? Did they because I've been injured at work.
Right.
And the management, as soon as you get hurt, it's always your fault. They're rolling their eyes. They're pissed off. They got to take you to the clinic. They got to find someone to come out and take over your route and do your work for you, and they make you feel like shit.
Yeah.
When all you did was just try to work as safe as possible, you know? And so how was the treatment with that injury?
I would say that the one thing that I can't really blame Medieval Times for is the workers' comp situation, because it's not their fault, right? Like, at least in my experience, they knew I was hurt immediately. They immediately were like, do you need an ambulance? And I was like, no, because I was, young and stubborn and pissed off. And, they were like, okay, well, we're driving you to the hospital. And they pulled footage of what happened. There's cameras everywhere immediately. So they knew immediately that there was nothing I could have done. It happened so fast. They had to, slow the footage down to even see, exactly what happened. There was nothing anybody could have done. It was just a freak accident. So in that regard, they did well. There's nothing I can complain about on how they handled it. Now, again, I mean, we could go on and on about just workers' comp in general. Workers' comp sucks.
Yeah.
It's just not, anybody that's had to deal with workers' comp, it's just terrible. It's like you get paid 60% or something, like a shit amount of your actual paycheck, and then you're just out, and then you're constantly dealing with do I need to go to physical therapy, or do I have physical therapy appointments scheduled, or do I need a follow-up, do I need a second opinion, all that kind of stuff, because they're the way that it operates now is if we get hurt, and I broke my hand last year, so we can get to that later. So, but the way that it works now is that they'll send us to a clinic, a 24-hour clinic, like a Concentra or something like that.
Ugh,
and
I
again,
hate those places.
Dude, Concentra sucks.
They're the worst.
It has, and again, it's hard for Medieval Times. Again, I'll be a little bit nice to them on this, because I have plenty of bad things to say about it, but I'll be a little bit nice on this particular aspect, because it's hard to find a 24-hour clinic that's willing to be available for us at 2:00 in the morning if somebody gets hurt or something like that. But Concentra is just absolute ass. They're
the worst.
We sent a guy there last year, while I was here last year, he fell off a horse, or he was supposed to fall off the horse, but he was learning and he fell off incorrectly, and he had a pop in his knee. They sent him to the clinic after he was limping around, and then Concentra was like, it's fine, you just have a bruise, just ice it. Well, come to find out, the dude tore his MCL, so he ended up having to have surgery and was out for a year and a half.
Oh shit.
So it's stuff like that. I could complain that Medieval Times needs to do a little bit better job of finding a place. The ideal situation would be that we had some sort of medic or some sort of person that understood our job really, really well, that was on site. They could do sort of the preliminary analysis of an injury of hey, is this guy okay? Does he need to go to the clinic? What is it? All that kind of stuff. But outside of that, every company, as you just said, that deals with worker injuries, it's you get sent to the workers' comp system, which sucks. You get sent to a clinic, which sucks, and it's all the same everywhere. So I can't really fault MT for that one particular aspect.
It almost seemed we got good insurance, right? I got really good insurance, and it's almost like they want to encourage you to just, you know what, dude, I don't want to go. They make it so fucked up, and make you I've been injured and I had to come off route, go sit there at Concentra for fucking hours, 3 hours with my manager there, and we don't even say one fucking word to each other. Worst experience ever.
Oh, it's awful.
I was so pissed off. I was like, dude, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm sitting there in pain. But they want you to. You'll get names being called before you, and you're there before them.
Yeah.
And they do it on purpose because they want you to get frustrated, get up and go, you know what? I'm just going to go home, and I'm going to go see my own doctor. And they'll go, okay, well, we'll just schedule off for a couple of weeks. You got vacation time? Yeah. Okay, we'll do that.
Can you imagine that, using your own PTO for your injury?
People
that's
do it
shit,
all
dude.
the time. I've been guilty of it. My bad back. As much as I want to go in there, there's been weeks where I couldn't get out of bed, and I using my own PTO. because it's so bad that I can't even get out of bed to go to the clinic. I can't
So-
even walk.
You go and work for this company, you get hurt working for this company, and then they turn around and they punish you for getting hurt while working for them. That
Mhm.
is broken, so broken. It is such a broken system. And I mean, the thing is, it's not unique, right? It's
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Yeah, man. Being in management sucks. I can only imagine. I mean, we're just a number. We're
Dude.
just a number the way they treat us, and yeah, I've been guilty of staying home and taking an R day, which I don't get paid, and I've lost thousands of dollars from it. Uh, it just we things got to change, and I got to change, right? I got to be like, okay, I got to just next time I'm back, hey, I'm gonna go. And I've been through it, dude. I've been through it for so many years, dude. Seeing orthopedic specialist and different pills, and it fucking sucks, dude. Having a bad back fucking sucks, and I've learned over time it's keep your inflammation down, do stretches, make sure you're double checking when you lift packages. I've switched routes where I don't do heavy, big, bulky routes where everything's 60 pounds. I've switched to resi routes. Constantly just switching routes where I give my body a rest, and then do another route. I'll do more walking than lifting, and so over my career, I'm just trying to finish the race, like we were talking about earlier. Once you start something, it's hard for me to quit.
Yeah, and look, dude, the way that we're set up right now, and again, I can go off on a tangent about this forever, but the way that we're set up right now, just culturally in the United States, is it's just a fucking rat race. Like you start the grind, and then either the grind kills you, or you get to where you can't grind anymore, and then hope that you're not completely screwed over by whatever benefits package you were supposed to be working on. I mean, it's bad. We look at other countries and stuff like that throughout Europe and whatnot, and how much better they have it in regards to labor rights and work culture and things like that. And we have a long way to go to get there. And it's exactly like what you were saying. It's not just the companies that need to change, but it's your own mindset. Like you have to change the way that you think about things, and the way that you find, what you find acceptable and what you don't find acceptable. And that's, I mean, we can get into this a little bit too if you want to, but that's one of the big problems that I even had with talking to people about unionizing. It's just that people have this idea of how things should work stuck in their mind, and they can't get out of it at all. And that's why you just end up in this like same cycle of like the same shit going on and on and on over and over and over again, when it's like, if you could just pause for like a minute and like critically think about like what you're doing like in your job and what you're doing on your day-to-day life, and realize that that's not okay, then if everybody would take that moment for a second and be like, this is not okay, we need to do something about it, then yeah, there's no end to what we could do if we collectively like came together to like make that decision. I mean, at the end of the day, companies don't exist without their workers. So you have to, wield the power that you have, the only power that you have as a worker, which is, working. So you have to wield that against the company if you need to, and you need to be able to, put it all on the line and risk it to make that change. And that's not something that a lot of people are okay with right now, but it'll take time. It'll take time.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will continue on with this conversation and get into you organizing the union for Medieval Times workers. For the people watching, if you want to, this is the last of the video. It's a preview. So if you guys want to listen to the podcast and audio, you can tune in to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and SoundCloud. I always forget. I don't even know how. Oh, well, Rumble will be on Rumble now. We got the video. This preview will be on Rumble. It will also be on YouTube. We're trying different things on this podcast, seeing what works and what doesn't. So, but I'm going to stick with the 30-minute video clip. And I will see you guys in a bit, listeners, all right?